Hey there, welcome to School of Emo, the podcast where we dive into the world of emo, pop punk, and everything in between. If you've ever found yourself in your car screaming the lyrics to Taking Back Sunday, wearing way too much eyeliner in the early 2000s, adding a buckle or a chain to every outfit you've put on, you are in the right place. I'm Erin Judge, and each week I will be your fellow student, guiding you through the music, the culture, and the history that shaped an entire generation of angsty teens. I am not the teacher of this school. I am a fellow student, here to learn alongside you and from you. Together, we will cover a lot of information that doesn't really matter, but will remind us of the days of stalking MySpace channels and getting lost in chat rooms. So connect your dial up, turn on your webcam, and let's go to School of Emo. School of Emo class is in session, and today we are going to talk about a band that really solidified themselves in a special community in the early 2000s and continue to until today, and that is Bayside. And we're going to Queens, New York. We've gone to the Northeast for emo. We have not been in Queens yet, but 2000, the year 2000, in Queens, New York, we have Anthony Ranieri on vocals and guitar, Jack O'Shea on guitar, Nick Gonbarian on bass, and then John Beats Hallahan on drums. So from the very start, initially stepping into the scene, Bayside stood apart compared to the others within the scene as a whole because they blended their pop punk pop rock energy with emo lyricism, and they took a little bit of a darker, more introspective tone to the lyrics that they created. So it wasn't just like the emo like angst, it was very dark, introspective, deep. And that really helped create a sense of kind of vulnerability and honesty that connected really well to their fans. So, a few years underground in the scene, in 2004, they released their debut album, Sirens and Condolences. And this introduced their signature sound, which was catchy guitar driven songs paired with deep personal lyrics. So, the themes they explored within this album were relationships, like most of the time, right? Teenagers trying to figure that out, self doubt, and emotional conflict. So, with the release of this album, a lot of the critics praised it for its honesty in songwriting, even if it kind of flew under the radar compared to the bigger song scene releases at the time. So, this was right as emo was like hitting that crest, and we were seeing bands like My Chemical Romance pop up. We had The Used, we had all these incredible bands, and so they weren't necessarily at the top of all of them, but they did kind of solidify their own sound within everything that was rising at that time. One song that really stood out in this album is Masterpiece. So we're going to look at those lyrics. My friend, you're always the last one to leave. Those dimly lit rooms. Make sure that the last glass makes its way to the table empty, and every bottle in the place has been upside down. At least a few times, what a waste. Is this what's left of you these days? You're not 18 anymore. 5 years should have been enough time for you to grow up and get over this. Not too cool to be throwing up all morning sick from what you might have done or done it with. And I swear if I could take your pain and frame it and hang it on my wall, maybe you would have never have to hurt at all. Painting pictures in red and blue, a portrait bruised just like you. And now you're walking away. You're not 18 anymore. 5 years should have been enough time for you to grow up and get over this. Not too cool to be throwing up all morning, sick from what might have done. When is enough finally enough? The hangups and the heartbreaks get you past. Our failures lay down, but just accept yourself. Find something that brings you closer to complete, painting pictures in red and blue. A portrait bruised just like you, and now you're walking away. You're not 18 anymore. 5 years should have been enough time for you to grow up and get over this. Not too cool to be throwing up all morning sick from what you might have done or done it with. When is enough finally enough? A year later, in 2005, they released their self titled album, Bayside. And this brought us one of their biggest songs, one of my favorite songs by them, which is Devotion and Desire. So going right into those lyrics, comparing to that first album, trying to create something that's not there. A spark I saw as a bomb, it's just a means to an end. and I was just so happy to be out of my shell again. I don't think that I really cared for who or what, so for now, I'll just have to keep it shut. If you're not ready, you're not ready. Please stop acting like you are. How could I know that everything you say are lies about devotion and desire? And I know the spark inside your eyes was just the match I used to set myself on fire. My mouth's shooting blanks, situations unbearable, I've gotten vulnerable. Now anyone is free to waltz right in. My temple's been invaded, and there's nobody guarding it. All over this lonely life, this lonely life. But what's so wrong with being all alone? Alone's the only way I've ever known. If you're not ready, you're not ready. Please stop acting like you are. How could I know that everything you say are lies about devotion and desire? And I know the spark inside your eyes was just the match I used to set myself on fire. I'm pleading because this kills and it's still bleeding. My darling, I'm taking my life back to start healing. How could I know that everything you say are lies about devotion and desire? And I know the spark inside your eyes was just the match I used to set myself on fire. So, with these two albums, they were gaining a lot of momentum in the scene, and they were touring with major acts and building a devoted following. But then everything changed. In October of 2005, while on tour, Bayside's van was involved in a serious accident in Wyoming, and that led to the death of drummer John Holohan. Several members were also severely injured, and the band faced the impossible question: do we continue or do we stop? Thankfully, for their fans and the band also, and what was to come, they decided that continuing felt like the only way that they could truly honor John. And so that's what they did. After the band members started to recover, they returned to touring and they wore shirts that read, Bayside is a cult, a phrase that would become central to their identity and the identity of their fans, how they connected to each other and the band. Chris Guglielmo was chosen as the permanent replacement to play drums for Bayside and continued with them moving forward. So in 2007, only a couple of years after the first album, they released one of the most important albums of their career, The Walking Wounded. And this showcased what they were doing during that time after the crash and after their loss. They put that into their music. So this is grief, resilience, and survival all wrapped up into one album. They explored themes of loss, trauma, perseverance, and identity. This was widely praised as one of their strongest most emotionally geared works of art that they put out. And a lot of fans leaned on this album to get them through hard times in their own lives. This was something that came from such a personal experience. And since the band was already deeply introspective, deeply honest with their lyrics and what they had felt growing up, this cemented that even more and created such a special work of art for their fans to engage with as they were facing similar things and continue to face like hard moments throughout their lives. So this wasn't just an album, it was a statement that Bayside was still here. So looking at one of the songs on this album, Duality. Some days I get crazed. I don't know why it's all relevant. I'll take deep breaths and keep control, go on. I've tried brave and you've tried to save. I'm proud to keep it bottled up. I think I passed my prime, lost my mind, and I'm torn. No telling what tomorrow holds. Who let this feeling die? When all I did was try. Who let you let this feeling die? I can't get you out of my head, my head. You're the flame that burns me, so I know that I'm still alive. Some say it's all fate, but I say we control our lives. And if my destiny should outbest me, then that's fine. I may believe thrill and apathy don't exist in me fairly equally. The truth is, doubts are all I've got to call mine. No telling what tomorrow holds, no telling what voice takes control. Who let this feeling die when all I did was try? Who let you let this feeling die? I can't get you out of my head. My head, you're the flame that burns me, so I know that I'm still alive. Is there anybody out there? Is anybody calling? Whoa, if what I say is really wrong. Is there anyone out there? Anybody calling? Whoa, if what you say is really wrong. I'm not in control. Think I'm out of control. Who let this feeling die when all I did was try? Who let you let this feeling die? I can't get you out of my head, my head. You're the flame that burns me so that I know I'm still alive. So, over the next decade, Bayside did something that was kind of rare in the scene, especially nearing the year 2010. They stayed consistent. They produced albums like Shutter in 2008, Killing Time in 2011, Cult, referencing their little slogan, in 2015. And these records refined their sound but stayed true to who they were. So, balancing the catchy songwriting with grounded, introspective lyrics, and they became known as one of the most reliable bands in the punk and emo scene, never chasing trends, just honing their craft and sticking with their unique sound. So, going back to that phrase, Bayside is a cult. This started as a way to rally fans after the tragedy of the wreck and the passing of their drummer, John, but it ended up becoming something even bigger. And one fan wrote on Reddit, kind of describing what this was and helping newer fans understand it. He said, "It means you're part of something that lasts, showcasing that continuity and the perseverance that the band displayed, but also how consistent they continued to be." So, Bayside fans are known for their loyalty, for repeat show attendance, showing up when it matters, and deep emotional connection to their lyrics. It's not just fandom, it's truly community, a cult, if you will. So, in the late 2010s and into the 2020s, Bayside has continued to evolve. So, they continue to put out albums. Vacancy in 2016. One of their most streamed songs on this album is I've Been Dead All Day, and it's very good. So, let's go through those lyrics. Well, I've been dead all day. Could you tell? Could you tell? This is where I leave here and I save myself. If there's a God in hell, let us pray, to be cleansed of everything that we've said. When I fall asleep, can this fade away? Oh my God, I'm so full of shit. I've been playing a part ever since I was a kid. Now the bullshit is adding up and I've had enough of it. But the crash would be incredible to see. Well, I've been dead all day. Can you tell? Could you tell? This is where I leave here and I save myself. If there's a God in hell, let us pray, to be cleansed of everything that we've said. When I fall asleep, can this fade away? I feel like Abraham on his little trip when all he found was death and pain. And he never regretted it. Oh, there's something out there for me. So I think I'd better split. There sure as hell ain't nothing here for me. Well, I've been dead all day. Could you tell? Could you tell? This is where I leave here and I save myself. If there's a God in hell, let us pray, to be cleansed of everything that we've said. When I fall asleep, can this fade away? That night I actually prayed, but I think God's forgotten my name. Because I'd point the blame every time I got mad. So we kind of lost touch and now we've been playing phone tag. Man and his wife to be planning their event. One couldn't contain themselves. The other was on the fence. So they silently agreed it's best to practice and pretend, because keeping up appearances is key. Well, I've been dead all day. Could you tell? Could you tell? This is where I leave here and I save myself. If there's a God in hell, let us pray, to be cleansed of everything that we've said. When I fall asleep, can this fade away? So after this album in 2019, a few years later, they produced Inner Bang. And then in 2024, their most recent album is There Are Worse Things Than Being Alive, showing that this band not only has been consistent, but they've also continued to push themselves forward creatively. They continue to put out music. They've also continued to tour, actively touring. They're releasing music, probably something to come pretty soon. And they have been maintaining one of the most dedicated fan bases in the scene. A fan on Reddit said, "They've never let us down, and we've never left." So when we think about Bayside, this isn't just about trends, it's not just about the success that we may see in the mainstream world or even how incredible they were underground. It's about resilience, about showing up again and again, no matter what. They were able to turn tragedy into connection, loss into music, and over time they've built something that feels permanent, which is so special, especially as there's been this kind of emo revival, seeing this band and bands like this kind of pull that thread and hold that steady so that what we experience today can even be possible. So, your homework from this class is to go do a deep dive, to listen to a few of the albums, pick out your favorite. If you've gone through a season of loss, maybe you go into that grieve post loss album and see how those lyrics connect and maybe are part of the journey towards your own healing and whatever it is that you may need. And then gear up because next week we continue our deep dive series as we prep for the next concert that I'm going to. I'll let you guess and ponder what that may be, and I will see you in that class.